Our soul knows our purpose for this lifetime and initially supports us by helping us hide our power and our knowing so that we may have the experiences we came here to have. When we are ready to reconnect with our God presence, our soul supports us in uncovering our power and our knowing. We are always on purpose, and we are always a God presence, receiving the perfect support for experiencing and expressing ourselves in accordance with our purpose. 12. Comfort and discomfort. Our bodies are magnificent instruments that we create to support us in having the experiences we come to the human to have. Our bodies are created and maintained in consciousness. They mirror the state of our consciousness, which includes the collective consciousness beliefs in how to look, act, age, and die.
Spread love, man.
All right, let's dive in. Universal principles, that's our focus today. We're taking a deep dive into the work of Arnold Patent.
Oh, yeah, his work is fascinating. It's like he's giving us a guidebook, you know?
Exactly, like a guidebook for understanding the fundamental laws of life.
Exactly.
Stuff that can really change how we experience things. We're going to be uncovering insights into purpose and abundance and how much our beliefs actually shape the reality that we experience.
What I find really interesting about Patent's approach is that he doesn't just throw these principles at us as, like these airy-fairy ideas.
Yeah.
He gives us actual practical ways to use them every single day, like in our lives.
I love that.
So they become tools for dealing with all the tricky stuff life throws at us and creating a life that feels really, really good.
Okay, let's jump into it. First up, purpose. Have you ever had that feeling, deep down inside, like your soul has a plan, but you're not totally sure what it is?
Patent actually suggests that our souls, they do have a plan, and they're guiding us through experiences to help us uncover it. Even the tough ones, those are the ones that can really push you toward understanding yourself and your path.
So you're saying, even when things feel totally out of control, there's actually a purpose behind it.
Precisely.
That's kind of reassuring. It takes some pressure off.
Totally. And, that feeling of ease you're talking about actually connects to the next principle, comfort and discomfort.
Okay.
Patent uses this amazing analogy. He talks about the body as an instrument.
Okay.
Reflecting the state of our, consciousness, Our bodies, they mirror our beliefs.
Oh, interesting.
So if you're carrying around these limiting beliefs about getting older or about your health, well, those beliefs can actually show up physically.
It's like our bodies are trying to get our attention.
Yeah.
Show us where we're holding ourselves back.
That's exactly it. And here's the good news. By becoming aware of those beliefs and the energy they're holding, you can switch from a state of disease to a state of ease.
That's powerful. I can see how this would be really helpful for people, interested in holistic health or even struggling with their body image.
Absolutely. And that sense of, feeling empowered actually leads us to another principle, abundance.
Okay. Abundance.
Do you see the world as a place that's full of abundance or full of limitations?
I think a lot of us, we get caught up in that scarcity mindset,
It's easy to do.
without realizing it.
Patent believes that abundance is our natural state.
Yeah.
Any sense of lack we feel is just a reflection of, what we believe.
So if we can shift our beliefs, we can change how we experience reality. That's a pretty big idea. It's kind of hopeful too, right?
It is hopeful. Think about a time when you changed your perspective on something and suddenly, bam,
Yeah.
new opportunities popped up or you found the resources you needed. It's like that abundance was there all along, but your beliefs were blocking it from your view.
I can think of a time when I totally changed my outlook on a project and all these roadblocks just turned into solutions.
Right.
Yeah.
It's amazing how much our beliefs can shape what we experience.
Speaking of shifting perspectives, where does giving and receiving fit into all of this?
Great question. So giving and receiving, it emphasizes balance.
Okay.
Giving generously and receiving gratefully allows this beautiful flow of energy in our lives. Patent's got this really interesting idea, he says, because we're all connected. Giving to others is basically giving to ourselves.
Whoa, that's deep. So helping others actually makes our own lives better.
Exactly. It creates this awesome cycle of energy and abundance.
Okay, I'm getting those aha moments.
Good.
This is next principle, non-attachment and freedom. Letting go of control, something I think we can all relate to.
So many of us cling to things, right? Stuff, outcomes, even people, because we think holding on tight is going to make us feel safe. But clinging comes from a place of scarcity. It blocks joy and energy. It's like trying to hold water in your fist. You squeeze harder and it just slips through your fingers. When we loosen our grip, we let new stuff in.
So it's about trusting that things will work out, even if we don't have all the answer, all the control.
You got it. Think about it. What would it look like for you to really embrace non-attachment in one area of your life?
That's a good question. Something to think about. How much freedom we'd have if we could just let go of the need to control every little thing.
Right. It's a powerful idea, and it connects really well to the next principle, actually. Expressing who we really are.
I love that. It makes sense, right? Like when you let go of attachments, you're more free to be yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where the real joy comes in, you know? Patent believes that each of us, we've got these unique talents and gifts, things we're meant to share with the world. And when we embrace those gifts, express ourselves fully, we not only experience joy, but we bring something special to everyone around us.
It's like we're all part of a big puzzle, and each of us has a unique piece to contribute
Yeah.
to make the picture complete. But what about those of us who are still figuring out what our gifts are? Or maybe a little scared to share them?
That's where self-love comes in. Patent really emphasizes that the more we love and accept ourselves, you know, the more our creative energy is allowed to flow.
Okay.
Like taking down a dam and letting that river of creativity just flow freely.
I like that image, removing the dam. And it makes me think about how our relationships can also be a reflection of that self-love. That's what this next principle is all about, right?
Yeah.
Harmony in relationships.
Yes, exactly. And what's really cool is that Patent suggests all our relationships, they actually mirror our relationship with ourselves. Every single person we attract, it's an opportunity to learn to grow, to understand ourselves better.
So it's not about finding like the quote-unquote perfect partner or friend, but using those relationships to really see ourselves more clearly, even the parts we might not like so much.
Precisely. And when we can come to relationships with that self-awareness and that compassion, it can totally change how we connect with people. You know, it all comes back to that foundation of self-love.
Okay, so we've got purpose, comfort, and discomfort, abundance, giving and receiving non-attachment, expressing our true selves and harmony in relationships. Wow, these principles, they all build on each other.
They do, and they all point toward a way of life that's more aligned with who we truly are and the natural way of the universe. Which brings us to that final principle we mentioned earlier, the idea that the universe handles the details.
Yeah, this one really caught my attention. Tell me more about what it means to surrender to the universe.
Imagine letting go of that need to control everything in your life and trusting that there's this greater intelligence at work, you know, guiding things in a way that's ultimately for your own good.
That sounds amazing, but I got to be honest, it also sounds kind of scary. What if things don't go how we want them to?
Yeah, that's a totally normal fear. But remember, letting go of control doesn't mean giving up on your dreams or your goals.
Okay.
It's about shifting your focus from trying to force things to happen to aligning your intentions with what you truly desire. And then trusting that the universe will support you, you know, maybe in ways you can't even imagine right now.
So it's about having faith even when we can't see the whole picture.
Exactly. And it often means tuning into our intuition, that inner voice that knows so much more than our minds ever could think about a time when you followed your gut feeling, even though it didn't make logical sense. And things worked out in a surprisingly good way.
You know what I can think of a few times when I did that went against logic, followed my intuition, and it led to some awesome opportunities. Yeah, opportunities I never would have found otherwise. So it's about surrendering to something bigger than ourselves, trusting the process, being open to what comes our way.
Beautifully put, and I think that's a perfect place to stop. For today, we've covered a lot, explored some really powerful principles.
I agree. This has been such a thought-provoking deep dive.
Yeah.
What would you say is the key takeaway you want our listeners to walk away with today?
I think the most important thing to remember is that these principles aren't just abstract concepts. They're tools we can use to create a life that's more fulfilling, more joyful, more meaningful. You know, and it all starts with self-awareness and a willingness to experiment to see what works for you.
I love that. And I bet our listeners are eager to try some of these principles out in their own lives.
Oh, I'm sure they are. We'll be back for part 3 soon to explore some practical ways to bring these principles into your everyday routine.
Can't wait until then. Happy exploring, everybody. Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're ready to explore, how to actually put these universal principles into action.
Yeah, that's the key, isn't it? It's one thing to understand them, but it's a whole other thing to actually start living them.
Exactly. So, where do we even begin? There's so much to think about.
It can feel overwhelming trying to do all 9 principles at once.
Right.
I'd say pick one that really speaks to you. The one that just feels like, ooh, I want to explore this.
Okay.
Like someone feeling stuck in that scarcity mindset, maybe they could focus on the principle of abundance.
Okay. Choose one and go deep.
Exactly. And once you've got your focus, think about how to weave it into your daily life. If it's abundance, maybe start a gratitude practice. Picture abundance flowing into your life. Or even surround yourself with things that symbolize prosperity,
It's about those small changes, but doing them consistently.
Absolutely. It's a process, not a one-time thing. Be patient with yourself. See what works for you.
What about purpose? For folks who are feeling lost, how can they tap into their soul's plan?
Just notice what brings you joy. What makes you feel alive? Our purpose is often right there in front of us, in the things we're drawn to.
So it's not always about this big preset plan. It's more about following those little sparks.
Exactly. Try new things, push yourself a little, and listen to that gut feeling.
It's like we're on a treasure hunt.
Yeah.
The clues are all around us if we just pay attention. And that reminds me of comfort and discomfort. Embracing the uncomfortable stuff is a part of growth, right?
It is. When we stretch and grow, we're going to hit bumps in the road, challenges, setbacks, even physical discomfort.
Yeah.
But if we can see those as chances to learn, the journey's a lot easier.
So it's not about avoiding the tough stuff. It's about changing how we see it.
Precisely. And you don't have to do it alone. The giving and receiving principle, it reminds us we're all in this together.
Right.
Ask for help when you need it. Offer help when you can.
We can learn from each other, support each other.
Exactly. And talking about support, that non-attachment principle, super helpful for tough times. When you can let go of needing a specific outcome, trust it'll all work out, you release a lot of stress.
It's like surrendering to the flow, knowing there's this bigger picture, even if we can't see it yet.
Exactly. And as we let go of those attachments, we open up space for more joy, creativity, authentic self-expression. Remember that principle.
Yeah.
It's all about embracing our unique gifts, sharing them with the world.
And that self-expression, when it comes from a place of self-love, it can change everything. Our lives, our relationships.
Which brings us right back to harmony in relationships. When we approach relationships with an open heart, willing to listen and understand, that's the foundation for real connection.
So it's not about finding the perfect relationship. It's about creating space for both people to be themselves.
Exactly. And even when conflicts happen, and they will, those are chances to practice compassion and forgiveness.
It's about learning and growing together.
Beautifully said. And we come full circle to that final principle: the universe handles the details. When we surrender to that, we tap into something so much bigger than ourselves.
It's letting go of needing to control every little thing, trusting that we're guided and supported even when we can't see it all.
Exactly. And when we align with these principles, cultivate that deep trust, we open ourselves up to a life full of purpose, abundance, joy, connection.
Wow. This deep dive into Arnold Patent's universal principles has been incredible.
It has.
We've only scratched the surface, but it's given us so much to think about.
It really has. And remember, this is just the start.
Yeah.
The real magic happens when we take these principles out into the world. Observe what works for you, how they guide you towards a more fulfilling life.
So, to our listeners, choose one principle this week.
Right.
Explore it, see how it feels, what changes you notice, what new possibilities open up.
And be kind to yourselves on this journey. It's a lifelong adventure meant to be enjoyed.
Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.
Yeah, thanks for listening.